Welcome, everybody, to the Apocrypha Apocalypse. It is time for our chill stream today. Sorry for the delay, folks. Man, I tell you, events have conspired against me doing this particular podcast. I mean, we have a perfect storm here in the world headquarters of Apocrypha Apocalypse. Oh, man, where do I begin? Just chaos in the house. I've been trying to get these PowerPoints in proper condition for well over a week now, and I'm still not satisfied with it. So I've been working on it since 2 o'clock in the morning, trying to get this in shape. I hope it's good enough. Then it was a late night last night. Had a late dinner, so my stomach's upset right before the podcast. Then what else? Major storm hitting the Midwest in America right now. It hasn't started full blowing, but we're supposed to get like high winds today. I don't know if that's going to affect the podcast. So if all of a sudden I'm off air, just keep me in your prayers, because that means our power is out, or the internet's out, or both is out. And it's wintertime here in Michigan, which could be really bad as far as heat and so on. It's as what can you do, right? So, needless to say, we are live doing our chill stream, and I want to thank all of you for coming on. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon or good evening, depending on where in the world you are. And hello to all my Aussie brothers and sisters down under. Since I'm an official honorary Aussie, want to thank you guys for coming on the show. Greetings from Motown. So we're going to look at the Apostolic Constitution, specifically the Apostolic Canon 85. It's actually a very important piece of evidence, not so much for the canon per se. It is, the issues between Catholics and Protestants, but it also figures into Orthodoxy as well, because the Apostolic Canon's constitutions was adopted into the law in the East. And hence, I haven't even explored that as much as I need to. So anyway, it's one of those days, folks. So keep me in your prayers. In fact, what I'm going to do is I normally don't do this for chill streams, but I'm going to put the link up there on YouTube for anyone who wants to come on stage, ask me questions, or maybe there's some Protestants here who believe the Protestant Old Testament canon is the authentic one. I'd love to talk to you about that and engage with you, despite the fact that it is very, very early here in the Detroit area. Actually, it's 3:51. And to top it all off, guys, I have to get to the gym this morning before the power gets out to do a heavy-duty workout because I overate this weekend. Crazy weekend all around. Yeah. So anyway, enough about me. How are you guys doing? Let's go to the chat room. Well, welcome all of you to the show. Lino, good morning. It's good to see you, my friend. Yes, Paul Plart Malcop. What did I say? This is part 2. In case you're wondering what the thumbnail was, as I put down Malcop 2. Face swaps here. We got Sam Shamoon to my right, David to my left, or our left, my right. And is that William back there? I think it's William. Doesn't even look like William. But I'm going through all my thumbnails that I did over the year. I did a series of Paul Plart Malcop thumbs, which I'm big fan of Kevin, and so I figured, why not do it? So there you go, guys. So yeah, you got it right, Lino. Don't wake up your family, guys. Yeah, I'm gas, not gas. I got to get that straight. Since I'm honorary Aussie, I can't pronounce words correctly. Yeah, so the gas does not wake up his family, hence the golden tones that I'm using. Because doing a podcast at 3, 4 in the morning, I don't want to suffer the wrath of my grandchildren and my children and everybody else. Don't forget the like button. Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thrilled and pumped Hollywood Big Boss. Hey, yeah, Hollywood. Thank you for sharing with me your little written thing on the Deuterocanon. That was pretty cool. Peanut, Blart, and Gary tonight. Okay, cannot wait for this one. I hope you feel the same way as I'm going through it. Hey, Reason Beliefs in the house. Everybody, please go to Reason Beliefs channel. Show him some love. He's got some great stuff. Great guy all around. God bless everyone. Wife is here. I was going to ask you how your wife is doing. Any ideas what that was? Anyway, I'm glad Lord heard our prayers and she's doing better. Thrilled and pumped. Thank you, sir. Yes, indeed. Bad weather in Illinois tonight, 30-mile winds till 3 p.m. tomorrow. Yeah, basically, I'm a couple hours behind you. I'm not sure where the dividing line, maybe an hour. But we have high winds forecast all the way till 9 here. And they were predicting up to 70-mile an hour gust, although they degraded it a bit. So I'm hoping it will be worse. I've always found, I don't know if you guys found this out, but it seems like the worst storms, the most destructive storms are the ones they don't predict. Seems like whenever the weather service predicts a storm, you can pretty much count on it that you're not going to have a snow day or anything like that. I don't know. And maybe it's just my area. Stay safe. Yes, please stay safe, my friend. Hey, Odd Chaldean. Wow, I haven't seen you in a long time. Welcome aboard, my friend. Boy, blast from the past. Daniel Yako, is it? Hello, how you doing? Sorry if I mispronounced the name. Let's get the party started. Yes, indeed. Zeke is in the house. Zeke, you're up late, I think. No, wait. Now I can't remember where you're from. But I'm thrilled and pumped you're with us. Odd Chaldean, welcome aboard with membership. We had a super fun time. Let me get some. I got to get some caffeine, guys. Let's see, where in the world is my caffeine? Had a fun time yesterday on a Sunday morning. Sorry, guys. Sunday afternoon powwow with members only. Had some great discussions. And I was telling everybody, and maybe this is why things have conspired against me. We're going to do a team stream today at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. Hopefully I can get the whole gang. David seems like he's on board. William, Mondays are tough for him, so I don't know if he'll be able to do it. We're going to look at Matt Slick and an interchange he had with Fearless Truth on the Canon. It's going to be fun because I'm going to break down both sides. It was an interchange on TikTok over the Canon. Matt Slick, as you know, longtime professional anti-Catholic. The guy needs to retire, guys. He's just not right. But and he was on his feet answering different topics, so we'll give him some grace. But his answers on the Canon were terrible. And I also want to critique Fearless Truth as well, who did an excellent job trying to pin him down. Outstanding job. But there was a couple of missteps he made tactically. And I want to share that with you guys on the 3 p.m. stream, because I think it will help sharpen you. So when you are interacting with Protestants, you won't make the same mistakes he does. But he did a really good job trying to pin Matt Slick down, and Matt Slick was not so slick. He actually did kind of make a fool of himself, and we'll celebrate that. It's one of those things when it comes to anti-Catholics on social media. uh, like for example, Matt Slick, he's up there in age. He's a lot older than myself. And by the way, apologetics is a perishable skill. And so who knows how long the Lord's going to have me do this, guys. It's always, keep me in your prayers because, I'm on my final approach here in life. I'm trying to arm all of you with the best information I got. So you can go out and go and explain, defend, share uh, the fullness of Christ. And but I think he's reached the point where he needs to retire. But on the other hand, he's done such a great job preparing people for becoming Catholic. I hate for him to retire because his his understanding of the Catholic faith, and I mean Catholic broadly, so it include probably a lot of Orthodox, is so bad that I think he's laying the groundwork for a lot of Protestants to actually do the homework and see how bad his arguments are and actually consider the historic church. So I don't want him to retire. On the other hand, he really needs to retire because it's getting to the point where he's more embarrassing than normal. Let's put it that way. But we're going to unpack that 3. So you might want to tell your friends, share it, and hopefully you can make it. I know this is a bad time slot for you guys. That would be probably the middle of the night for some of you, but you could always watch it later on. Let's see. Near the St. Louis area, and it's been bad wind today. Yeah, it's thanks, Dry Bones. By the way, I haven't recognized your name. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, we're going to get hit by that. It's already kind of blustery outside. And I got to head to the gym. So I'm hoping that they'll have power at the gym. CJ's in the house. God bless you. It's been hot in Melbourne, Australia. Going to be a brutal summer. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. I really am, because as we are in Michigan, 20 degrees, blustering wind, feels like 11 Fahrenheit, by the way. Yeah. You'll be in my prayers, Daniel, and all you Aussie brothers and sisters. I know how it is. You know what? This is a technique I use. When it's brutally hot outside, I try to keep that in my mind. Remember how it feels when in winter you're freezing your behind off. Because now, when I'm starting to freeze my behind off here in Michigan, I think about the summer and how brutally hot it is or was. And that helps me get through because I know heat is on the way. So maybe you can remember how brutally cold it was back in, was it June or July when you have your winter? And hopefully that'll get you through the brutal heat. Think about the snow. Good morning and good night, British Columbia. All right. British Columbia is represented by, was it 2Cat? 2 million, is it? Hey, welcome aboard. I didn't see your name before. It's great to have a bunch of new people joining us. By the way, the link is pinned on the chat room, I believe. Did I do that or didn't I do it? I got distracted. Let me try that again. I'll pin the link if you guys want to come backstage, chat. Are there any non-Catholics out there that want to defend the Protestant canon? This is the time to do it because my PowerPoint presentation is, what can I say? I'm not super happy with it. I want to do a lot more research, but it's good enough. It's good enough for a live stream. So I'd like to waste time and get through the part of the PowerPoint that I'm actually happy with and then stop. Hey, SoCal Preston's in the house. SoCal's up late there in paradise. Greetings, Gary and friends. SoCal, how is the weather over there? Apparently you didn't get hit by the storms that I heard you getting hit by. By the way, everybody, SoCal Preston is in Southern California, otherwise known as Paradise. Beautiful weather year-round. But I heard they got floods. but apparently you didn't. So that's good. They do get hit by, I mean, you generally, the bad weather is really flooding, but otherwise it's paradise. Lino says it's cold and nice and quiet here, about an hour away from Yosemite. Wow, that's a beautiful neck of the woods. I'd never been there. I've seen pictures though. It looks gorgeous. Yosemite area. Chaldean says, "You're up late or up early?" Yeah, I'm up early. You don't know this, but this is Chillstreams. I do this Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3:30 a.m. Eastern time. For some reason, the Lord wakes me up at 2 a.m. So it's like I'm up doing research. Why not live stream? And it's been a blast. So, been reaching parts of the world I normally don't reach, and I actually became an honorary Aussie. So, just to catch you up on all the stuff that's happened over the year. It was a Bartholine cyst that got infected, turned into an oh boy. Well, I'm glad she's doing better. Sorry to hear that, but yeah, let's continue to keep Reason Belief's wife in our prayers. That can be nasty and very painful. Zeke, my man. Oh man, if this doesn't wake me up, nothing will. Thank you so much for the super chat, my friend. Actually, I'm more thrilled and pumped that I look is because my exterior is asleep, but my interior is rejoicing at your super chat. Thank you for that. Used to buy a flashlight in case the power goes out. It's pretty stormy here in Washington State. Yeah, we're getting hit everywhere. Washington State. So you're probably a little further north than I am. So, but you're off the ocean. How bad are your winters, Zeke? Do you get hit by cold really bad? I think you do. But whenever you're by a large body of water, like the ocean, it can change the weather either for better or for worse. I know because I live in the Great Lakes state, but I'm on the East Coast. I'm in the Detroit area, so we don't get lake effect snow, but on the west side of Michigan, it's pretty brutal. I'd never lived there. Chaldean, yes. Because man, when the power goes out and it's cold outside, you know, you really appreciate forced air heating. Have you seen Matt Slick's new profile picture? It's an icon of himself like Saint Irenaeus. No, I haven't. Of course, I don't. Matt Slick is. Why should I torture myself by frequenting his social media? By the way, guys, let me know if there's a video out there on the Canon that you think would be low hanging fruit or something fun to unpack, or maybe something really good that you're not sure how to respond to. Contact me. Let me know. Send me the link because I just don't have time to frequent all the anti Catholic sites and do research for presentations. I just can't possibly do it, especially with everything going on in my household. I'm trying to do it, but I can't. So I need your help. Let me know if you see anything you'd like us to address, and we'll be pumped and thrilled to do it for you, as always. Like Sun Tzu says, never interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake. It's funny that Protestants are destroying Protestantism when failing to refute Catholicism. Yeah, it's funny. Back in the 80s, Catholic apologetics was kind of in its infancy here in America. And so, yeah, James White and these other guys, Matt Slick, they were making hay. You know, they were really the reason why American apologetics really took off. And interesting enough, because their arguments are so bad, now it's bearing fruit that a lot of Protestants who were convinced by their arguments now, especially with the internet where you can see everything, they all become Catholic or Orthodox. So thanks be to God. Unfortunately, the world has become more and more atheistic and secular. So we gotta get everybody on board within the historic churches so we can win the world for Christ and start going after atheists and secularists. Ad Gloriam Christi. Hey, welcome aboard. Hey, new person. Hey there, Gary. I want to get a book on how the Catholic canon is the true canon. What would you say the best book is for that? Excluding my own or including my own? Because quite frankly, there's only a few books written by Catholics defending the Deuterocanon. And I think that's true for Orthodoxy, but I could be wrong. So there's not much I could recommend. Oldie, it's a little antiquated, but it's pretty good, is A.E. Breen's, Breen. I think it's a Critical Introduction to Sacred Scripture. I could get you the exact title, but I'm pretty sure that's the title. That was a work written in the 1890s. And like I said, it's a little antiquated, but it's still pretty good. It's helpful if you know Latin and Greek. Yeah, General Introduction to the Study of Holy Scripture. That was the last book, and only half the book is on the canon. The rest is inspiration and translations and stuff like that. For my own works, I have 2 books that I could recommend. I actually wrote 3 books on the Deuterocanon. I would recommend The Case for the Deuterocanon, Evidence and Arguments. That's available on Amazon. That's my positive case for the Deuterocanon. And I'd love to expand and update it. I have a lot more stuff I could put in there. And if you want an overview, a historical overview that focuses on answering the question, did the Catholic Church add books or Protestants remove books? That would be Why Catholic Bibles Are Bigger, put out by Catholic Answers Press. There is also another fantastic, awesome work that I can never get the title right, and William's going to kill me. It's put out by William+Albrecht and Dr. Christian Kappas. And they co-wrote a lot of books. Let's do this. I got to get this name right, or William will go after me. Come on, how come I can't find William's book? Let's see. Sorry, folks. It's one of those days. And I don't want to mislead you. Actually, the link is in. Check out the links in the description. I have the link there. It's called The Complete History of the Biblical Canon in the Christian East and Latin West, Volume 1, Greek, Latin, and Slavic Biblical Canon from the New Testament until 1500. So you can see why I can never remember that title. But it's a very good book, and it's a little high-end. So I think it's a great complementary work to Why Catholic Bibles Are Bigger. Why Catholic Bibles Are Bigger, I tried to make as accessible to non-scholars as possible, yet have some really good meat and potato stuff. William and Father Kappas' work is outstanding, but it's a little less, I think, accessible for non-scholars. And I think William would agree with that. But it is nothing but meat and potatoes, and does an outstanding job, especially with the canon in the East. I have another book called 15 Myths, Misrepresentations, and Mistakes, I think it is, where basically I just go through some minutia on the canon. It's kind of a fun book. That's also on Amazon. Outside of that, I can't recommend really any book. There's an Orthodox book out there, which I think is terrible treatment on the canon. And some new ones that I'm going to have to look closer at. So I could give you even more if you want. You can always contact me, folks, and I could give you some. But those are the biggie, the ones that I think are most helpful. Okay, so here's the weather update from Paradise here. High 66 degrees, sunny later today. Rough. Yeah. That is chilly. Now, for you on the other side of the world, it's winter here in America. So picture a winter where 66 degrees is rough when it's sunny out. You got tough there, SoCal. No sympathy from the Detroit area. Nice. All right, missed so much. Yeah, you did. Yeah, lots of things happening, but we're glad you're back. It's pretty cold here. 25. Yeah, we're going to get probably lower than that today. A warm spot. That's why I thought, because it's very strange there in the north west, because it all depends on where you live. The weather. By the way, guys, Apocrypha Apocalypse is about the Old Testament canon, not the weather. It's just this is a hot topic right now, or a cold topic, depending on where you live. Really foggy. Wow. Yeah, that's pretty dangerous. Pretty dangerous. Be careful, Lino. Be careful, my friend. Gary, petition for the Teamstream refutation of David Daniels from Chick Track. Huh. Anything in particular? Reason, belief? Chick Tracks. Wow, that's a blast from the past. Just waiting for the werewolf to jump out in front of me. Wow. Yeah, that's even more dangerous when you have werewolves. Thank you. I think it's fine. Even yours. Okay. Not sure what that's about. Hey, James is with us. James Tay, our Singaporean friend, is with us. James, you must have just joined us because usually you would point out that I'm late. Laudator Jesus Christus, indeed. Laudator. Boy, yeah, for those who aren't familiar with Chillstreams, the sections of my brain that pronounces words is still asleep. So forgive me in advance for any butchering of words. Will do. Just found them. Good. Found the channel by frequenting William streams. Oh, thank you. Well, I'm glad you're with us. This will help you go to sleep if you have insomnia. Loving the membership. Thank you, Chris from St. Patrick, member. And thank you for supporting the channel by being a member. By the way, I should probably tell you guys, if you're a member, you get exclusive material, including sneak peeks at things that are going to be released later and other exclusive stuff, plus every Sunday. And actually, I think I'm going to do a members only stream this hour, like not today, but the 3:30 a.m. Eastern time hour. I'm going to try it, and because I'm having so much fun on the Sunday ones, and you get to just hang out with me and ask me any question you like and talk about whatever's on your mind. Have some really great discussions. A lot of fun. You made it. Awesome. Pato Patterson. A bit lazy to press today. Okay. Yeah, I hear you. It is Monday, at least here in America. Might be Tuesday for you. Yep. Okay, guys. Well, hey, thanks again, Zeke, for that amazing super chat. Thank you all for being on the stream. I think it's time for us to go to the meat and potato part of the stream, which is Apostolic Constitutions Canons. So take your no-dos and don't operate heavy machinery during this portion of the stream. As we do in the chill streams, we're going through church history, looking at all the important junctures, early church fathers, things like that, that impinge upon the discussion of the Old Testament canon. And we've reached the Apostolic Constitution / Apostolic Canons section of our chill streams. Like I said, very important document. Not so much for Catholic Protestant issues, but it's important because it's been received into the East much more than the West. And so it has a bigger impact on how the East looks at its canon. And So we're going to take a critical look at it, and but try to be as fair as possible. And as always, I'll give the receipts. Hey, got another super chat from Chris of St. Patrick. Thank you. God bless you for that. I have so much confidence in our canon, thanks to Brother Gary. Wow. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad that you did, that you're thrilled and pumped to share this with anybody out there. I am too. But what you're going to find out, Chris, is once you know how to defend the issue of the canon, nobody wants to talk to you. Hence, it's like it's so rare we get Protestants on here that want to defend the canon. In fact, the last 2 times we had Protestants on the show, here, let me come up on the screen. Last 2 times we had Protestants actually come live. Both of them conceded the Deuterocanon's inspired. So I am thrilled and pumped that you are thrilled and pumped to defend the canon because of us. But I'm sure it's not us, it's the Holy Spirit. So thanks be to God for that. Okay, so what exactly are the apostolic canons? This comes from Jurgen's Faith Early Fathers, as we do on this segment. He says, quote, the so-called apostolic constitutions or constitutions of the Holy Apostles by Clement is an interesting work with a curious history and a very complex history too. Hence, that's why, guys, this is just a provisional presentation. I need to do a lot more work on it just because it's so complex, as you will see. Okay, in 8 books, that is, as Altener notes, the largest extant collection of legislative and liturgical material of so early a date. So that's basically what it is. It's like an amalgamation of legislative and liturgical material. The work pretends in 6, 18, and 11 to be of apostolic origin, written out and sent around to all the bishops and priests by St. Clement of Rome. In that respect, it is a forgery of the grosser or more impious sort. Here, the use of Clement's name is not merely a congenial literary device, it was done with deliberate intent to deceive. Now, that's pretty strong for Jurgens, and I think he's absolutely right, and I'll show you the evidence. So it pretends to be written by Clement on purpose so that the reader actually thinks this is of apostolic origin when it's not. Okay. The work may be divided into 3 parts. Now, here's part of the complexity. It's actually even more complex than this. Embracing books 1 through 6, book 7, and book 8. The first part, books 1 through 6, is a revision of the work called the Didascalia of the 12 Apostles, which later work originated in Syria around the period of 200-250. Mostly the apostolic constitutions in this part simply bring the Didascalia up to date on more recent legal and liturgical matters. For example, the Didascalia prescribing fasting in Holy Week, whereas the Constitutions extends to a Lent of 40 days. So it's basically adopting the Didascalia and reproducing it and amending it here and there. Part 2, the whole of book 7, can be divided into 2 sections. Section 1, 1 through 32, is an enlargement or paraphrase of the Didache. By the way, we did the Didache here on the show. It's considered an apostolic father, very close to the time of the apostles. Also uses deuterocanonical books. So you can check that out. Just do a search on the channel if you're interested. Sections 2, that is chapters 33 through 48, is a collection of prayers of praise and thanksgiving, 33 through 38. Instruction and teaching of the catechumens and administration of baptism, chapters 39 through 45. A catalog of bishops consecrated by the apostles, chapter 46, which list shows a knowledge of Pseudo-Clementine and also Eusebian church history, Eusebius' church history, and morning, evening, and meal prayers, chapters 47 through 49. Morning prayers in chapter 47. The great doxology, the Gloria of the Roman Mass, And the meal prayer in chapter 49 is almost verbally identical to that of Pseudo-Athanasian De Virgintate 12. So again, it's like bringing in this material and altering it a little bit. The third and most valuable part of the work is the final book 8. In this, there are 3 sections. The first dealing with charisms, chapters 1 and 2. The second with ordinations and blessings, chapters 3 through 26. The third with the generally treated as a separate work, but which seems also to be a work of Pseudo-Clement, the 85 so-called Apostolic Canons. And by the way, that's the section that deals with the canon of Scripture. Chapters 6 through 15 contain the entire so-called Clementine liturgy, the oldest extant complete text of a Mass. So it is a pretty cool, valuable work. Part 2, the whole book of 7, is divided into, I'm reading the wrong slide. The work in its present form cannot be earlier than the year 341 AD because 20 of the 85 apostolic canons are exacted bodily from the canons of the Synod of Antioch of that year. It's probable that the work was in its present form, put in its present form around the year 400. Otto Badenheuer was of the mind that the techniques, knowledge, and doctrines and peculiarities of Pseudo-Clement are such that we may, with considerable probability, identify him as with the Pseudo-Ignatius, who was responsible for the longer recension of the Ignatian letters, which is very interesting, guys. Again, Ignatius of Antioch, we have 7 extant authentic letters. They're in 3 recensions, a short, middle, and long recension. The long one apparently is from the same author as Pseudo-Clement, which is Apostolic Canon / Constitutions. I didn't know that until I put this in the slide. However, it may be that Pseudo-Clement was probably from Assyria and has Arian tendencies. His use of Clement's name is not merely a literary pleasantry, participation in a genre that never meant to deceive. Unlike so many other pseudepigraphers, he expected and intended to mislead his audience and did so deliberately. He continues his deception even into the canons of Scripture, and we're going to talk about that in a second, where he includes the 2 epistles of Clement, one genuine, the one so-called, both accounted in one volume in the present work, as well as the very work he is fabricating, the Apostolic Constitutions. In other words, he includes in the New Testament canon 1st and 2nd Clement, along with the constitutions and canons. Except for Book 8, Chapter 47, the so-called Apostolic Canons, the Apostolic Constitutions was condemned at Quintessence Council of Constantinople, called the Council of Trullo or Trullorum, being the meeting hall of the Imperial Palace at Constantinople in 692, as falsified by heretics. The date of the Council of Trullo, incidentally, is usually chosen by historians as marking the end of the ancient period of church history. The text for the Apostolic Constitutions in Ming and Mansi are not at all reliable. The edition of F.X. Funk in his 2-volume De Scalia et Constitutionis Apostolorum, Volume 1, is still the standard. And by the way, that's what I use for these slides. So I'm not using the Ming or Mansi. I'm going to be using Funk. So you guys will have the best manuscript, according to Jurgens. So we're going to look at Canon 85 specifically. This is the one part of this very complex work that is most important for us because it deals with the canon of Scripture. So, a little bit about the Apostolic Canon 85. Apostolic Canons is a series of 84 or 85 canons. In Syriac, the numbering is actually 80, 81, occurring in Apostolic Constitutions 847. So, to make this straight, the Apostolic Canons is a section within the Apostolic Constitutions. It is generally considered to be edited or compiled by the same who is responsible for the Apostolic Constitutions itself. This is important because, as we do on this channel, we look at all the evidence. We don't just focus on list. So if Canon 85 is generally believed to be authored by the same person who put together the constitutions, then we need to look at how the constitutions uses these books in light of the list. Okay? So that's a very important bullet point. Finally, the Apostolic Constitutions is a composite work, like I said. Didaskalia 1 through 6, Didache 7, and the Apostolic Tradition, and other material in Book 8. Okay, guys, so that's the overview. And that is actually only part of the complexity of the book. And we'll talk about more later on. So here's Canon 85. I don't see our good friend from Divine Mercy Apologetics out there because he would love how colorful this is. But anyway, here's 85. I'll give you the English on the left, and I have on the right, we have FX Funk's critical text with the Greek and Latin. And then below, we have Mead and Gallagher's Syriac, English translation on the right, and the Syriac text on the left. I'm sorry, folks, I can't read Syriac. So I'm going to have to punt on this one to Mead and Gallagher and assume everything they say is true. But basically, this is what the text reads, and you guys can pause the screen if you want to look at the Greek and Latin and so on. And I highlight the parts that I think are most important. So let's just read through the 85th canon and see what it has to say about the canon of Scripture. It says, "Let the following books be esteemed venerable and holy by you, both of the clergy and laity, of the Old Covenant, 5 books of Moses, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, 1 of Joshua, son of Nun, 1 of Judges, 1 of Ruth, 4 of Kings, 2 of the Chronicles, 2 of Ezra, 1 of Esther, 1 of Judith, 3 of Maccabees, 1 of Job, 150 Psalms, 3 books of Solomon, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Songs, 16 prophets." Then it continues and says, "And besides these, take care that your young persons learn wisdom of a very learned Syriac. But our sacred books, that is, those of the New Covenant, are these: the 4 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, 14 epistles of Paul, 2 epistles of Peter, 3 of John, 1 of James, 1 of Jude, 2 the epistles of Clement, and the constitutions dedicated to you, the bishops, by me, Clement, in 8 books, which it is not fit to publish before all, because of the mysteries contained in them and the acts of us, the apostles." So there you go, guys. That's the 85th canon. That's, like I said, the most important thing about the canon. So let's go through the 85th canon in detail. Some interesting stuff. Now, what's important here is, we'll get into that in a second, Zeke. You're absolutely right. It doesn't claim to be a canon list. Rather, it says, "Let the following books be esteemed venerable and holy by you, both clergy and laity." So technically, he doesn't use the word canon. He just says that these are venerable and holy, which is a little bit more vague. Okay. And I give you the Greek here, as you can see, and also the Latin. Uh, doesn't say canon, so technically it's not a canon list, but I mean, what is it then? It's just a list of holy books? I don't know. But that's important, though. It's important. So another feature is where he says 2 of Esdras, 1 of Esther, Judith 1, 3 of Maccabees. And what's important here, of course, the Deuterocanonical book of Judith is affirmed, but notice there's 3 books that are affirmed of Maccabees. So that'd be 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Maccabees. 2 of them are Deuterocanonical books, 1st and 2nd. 3rd is interesting. In fact, this is probably the only list that I know of that 3rd Maccabees is included. Okay. And this is important because, of course, our Orthodox brothers and sisters have 3rd and 4th Maccabees in their Bibles. And the exact status of 3rd and 4th Maccabees is, it depends who you're talking to in the Orthodox world. It could be either fully canonical or holy books or what Protestants would call Apocrypha. It really does run the gamut. I think by and large, just from the Orthodox that I've spoken to, they would consider 3rd and 4th Maccabees to be holy books, just like the list says, right? Holy and venerable, but not necessarily canonical. And like I said, it depends who you talk to in the Orthodox world in regards to the 3rd Maccabees. But it's very, very, its reception within Christianity is extremely spotty and pretty rare that you'll see early church fathers use 3rd Maccabees. So this is very unusual from that perspective. Yes, exactly. Hollywood Big Boss. 3rd Maccabees hardly gets mentioned in the early church. How did the Orthodox Church end up with it in their canon with such weak attestation? I think I think it's because 3rd Maccabees does find its way into one codex of, I think, the Alexandrinus, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, I need to check. It might be, I think it's only one, but I could be wrong on that, folks. I don't know. It's just part of this larger collection. It's hard to figure out exactly how 3rd and 4th Maccabees made it into Orthodox Bibles. But you know what? 3rd Maccabees sometimes appears in the Latin Vulgate too. But it never was accorded canonical status. It was like an extra book. And I think the same thing's true in Orthodoxy. Like I said, there's lots of different views, Hollywood Big Boss, on the canon, depending on which Orthodox church you talk to. Yes, okay. I was right on Alexandrinus. Alexandrinus is kind of like the deluxe version that has everything in it. So chances are, if you're not sure if a book's in the Septuagint, look at the Alexandrinus, because chances are it's there. Okay, so also the other thing I want to point out, and this is kind of significant, it says, apart from these, you ought to teach your children the wisdom of the most learned Sirach. So this list places Sirach outside of the holy and venerable writings because he says apart from these, and you can see the Greek there and the Latin. But it's recommended that it's used to teach children. So very interesting why it does that. Does this mean it denies Sirach is canonical? Well, since it doesn't use the word canonical, we can't really say that. Does it deny that's holy and venerable? I'm not sure. Apparently, it didn't see it as the same level as the other books, but yet it goes out of its way to recommend this book. Very weird stuff, but it's going to get weirder as we go on. Trust me. Yeah, it makes it for Westerns, for us Westerners, when we look at Orthodoxy as a whole, yeah, it does get, it's a little frustrating when you're looking at the canon because it's not nicely packaged and, you know, that type of stuff. Okay. The other thing, and some of you, I think Zeke picked up on this immediately, the deceptive part is right here, and that's highlighted. So included with the holy and venerable books, and maybe this is why he doesn't use the word canon, right? Maybe he's just affirming just books that are good to be read. I don't know. But maybe that's why he tacks on this, the two epistles of Clement. What's weird about this is First Clement is authentic letter of Clement, widely received. Second Clement, however, so-called Second Clement, is actually a homily, and it's pseudo-Clementine. It's not written by Clement. It's not authentic work. So it's weird that he affirms both First and Second Clement. The other weird thing, even more bizarre, is he recommends his own work. And I think this is where Jurgens is right, that we're not dealing with somebody just writing in a kind of genre that pretends to be somebody, but it's actually trying to deceive people. When it says the Constitutions and 8 books addressed to you bishops through me, Clement, I don't think there's any doubt that he's pretending that the whole work actually comes from Pope St. Clement of Rome, and using that basis to make the constitutions more than it is. Okay. And Trullo picked up on that. So that's kind of audacious, don't you think? Well, even more audacious is what follows. He says, which are not to be devolved to all because of the secret things in them. So it's like the constitutions are almost like a Gnostic, I'm not talking like heretical, like Gnosticism, but secret teachings, right? Which are sometimes believed to be higher than the public teachings and the acts of us apostles. So, yeah, Zeke, you picked down on it right. And you can see here in the Greek and Latin, I have it highlighted for you, the acts of us apostles. So he pretends to be an apostle. And he pretends that that acts of the apostles includes himself. So that's hugely problematic, right? So if that's problematic, then what about the list of books? Can we trust that the books he listed is something that would be affirmed generally within Christianity as a whole? I don't think so, right? So the 85th canon, folks, I think we have to be very nuanced as to exactly what it represents. I don't think it represents the view of the church as a whole. I think it's eccentric and it's self-serving and deceptive. So it has to be taken with more than a grain of salt. What about Tobit and Wisdom of Solomon? Hey, Basil Jett, welcome aboard. It's nice to see you. I didn't recognize your name. Yeah, exactly. Where is Tobit and where is the Wisdom of Solomon? It doesn't mention it. So, exactly. Yeah, Happy New Year to you. We don't know. Now, this is where usage comes in, very important, and also manuscript problems. So let's talk about manuscript tradition. Now I'm going to be quoting Gallagher and Mead's book, The Biblical Canon List of Early Christianity. And by the way, guys, I've been pretty critical of this work, and I think rightly so. I think it really is a Protestant work that is tries to be academic and even-handed, but not really. I think it affects its conclusion and its assessment of some certain areas of the text. But on the other hand, it's also a fine work that actually does a pretty thorough job going through this stuff. That's why people ask, would you recommend this book? I'm always not really sure whether I should or shouldn't, because it is biased, and I think that really detracts from the overall work. On the other hand, it does a nice job going through some of the nitty-gritty details and presenting it pretty nice and pithy, as we like to say here on the chill streams. So, and here's an area I think they actually do an outstanding job. So I want to be fair and give credit where credit is due, because the manuscript tradition for the apostolic canons is complex, as it says. In Greek, it was transmitted through collections of canon law. The oldest manuscript was dated around the year 800 AD. The manuscripts of the apostolic constitutions and the manuscripts of the apostolic constitutions. For his edition, Marcel Metzger has added Greek manuscripts to the previous editions of Funk and Lagarde, making his edition the standard work for the apostolic constitutions. I should have probably used him instead of Funk, but we do what we can here on the channel. His manuscript stemma demonstrates the relationship between the Greek and the Latin manuscripts. In Latin, Dionysius Exiguus, I think it is, only transmitted the first 50 canons of the apostolic canon. The Latin Verona fragment, 5th/6th centuries, sigla FV in Metzger's edition, contains the complete number of the apostolic canons. Okay, so we have Greek manuscripts, Latin manuscripts, we have updated critical text, and then we have in Syriac, there are 3 copies of the apostolic canons from the British Museum, and it gives all the stuff from 8th century, 7th century, 8th century. To these, we add manuscript DS30, 7th, 8th centuries, which contains the apostolic canons in 85 canons. The apostolic canons are also found in Syriac and part of the apostolic constitutions. Finally, there are versions of the apostolic canon in Coptic and Ethiopic. Okay, so we have all of that. Like I said, guys, this is a real complex situation that we're dealing with. So it's not only that it's a composite work of various things, but the manuscript traditions mix. Now, here is where everything comes to play. And by the way, Basiljet, here's the answer to Tobit and all the other stuff. Okay. Mead and Gallagher says, the Old Testament canon list incorporates many books that are not finally included in the Jewish and Protestant Bibles. Okay. Including Judith, Tobit in Syriac and Ethiopic traditions, the 3 or 4 books of Maccabees, Psalm 151 in the Latin and 1 Greek manuscript, Wisdom of Solomon, and perhaps Wisdom of Sirach. The prophets are numbered as 16, with Jeremiah perhaps including Lamentations, Baruch, and the Epistle of Jeremiah, according to tradition. So when you rightly asked, in fact, let me bring your comment up, where are these books? You're very right in pointing that out, because Tobit and Judith are found in all the major codices of the Septuagint. Wisdom of Solomon is represented, I think, in practically all. Maybe it is, I think it might be in all. I could be wrong, but I think it's in all. And they're all very well attested. So the fact that they're omitted in the 85th canon, as I gave you, is a red flag. And then you look here at Mead and Gallagher, you find out that that's only in certain textual traditions. And apparently Tobit's included in the Syriac and Ethiopic traditions. And Wisdom of Solomon seems also to be included. So even like how the 85th canon should be read is complex, to say the least, right? Even the Psalms, because remember when we're looking at the Psalms according to the Funk critical text, let me go back to that. it specifies that there is 150 Psalms, yet we find out from Mead and Gallagher that there's some manuscripts that affirm 151 Psalms. So it's a mess, guys. Hence, that's why I wanted to really dig into this and do a really nice, clear presentation. But like I said, events have conspired against me, and I don't want to hold up all the chill streams just for the apostolic canons. So I'm just going to give you this provisional presentation, and then maybe sometime in the future, I'll be able to do the hard work to get through all the manuscripts and so on. But needless to say, there's lots of warning signs, lots of things that make this less and less important as evidence, right? First, it's a flat-out forgery. It doesn't seem to square with what we see elsewhere. And even its own reading, how it ought to read and which books are included, depends on what manuscripts you're looking at. So very, very complex. And they're very late too. So this is like 3 or 4 centuries after the fact. Those are our earliest manuscripts in various languages. And here I have Judith, Ethiopic puts Judith to teach children. So that's an interesting one. Tobit, the Ethiopic, puts Tobit after Esther instead of Judith. Books of Maccabees, you have 3 of Maccabees in the Latin and Syriac, and it's omitted in the Ethiopic. Books of Solomon, the Greek reads 3. The Syriac reads 5 books of Solomon, so that would include Syriac and Wisdom. And Ethiopia has the Proverbs of Solomon, Ecclesiasticus, and Song of Songs. So you can see it's very, very fluid in the textual traditions. And then, of course, you have Psalms, 150 Psalms, but apparently somewhere has 151 Psalms. So what is this? I don't know. I don't know, folks. It's just a mess. Actually, you know what? I'm going to park it here. I'm just going to end with the 85th canon. And going back to Jurgen's point, that it's widely believed that the author of the constitutions also wrote the canons. With that in mind, I think the use of books in the constitutions, therefore, should have some bearing on maybe helping sort out what's going on in the manuscript tradition and how this list should be read. And that's what we're going to do in the next chill stream. We're going to go through usage and see what it has to say. Is Judith in or is it out? Is Tobit in or is it out? What about Wisdom? What about Syriac? What about Maccabees? We'll find out next time. Same place, same time, same channel. Next Wednesday, God willing. Well, actually, hold on a second. We're getting close to the new year. Happy New Year, by the way. Let's see. Wednesday is... I think I could do a chill stream Wednesday. So we'll find out then. All right. So, I forgot to say, do me a favor if you would. Please hit the like button. Also consider subscribing if you haven't, and hit the alert button so you don't miss anything on the channel. Also consider being a member. We have lots of fun things with members, and also support us on Patreon. William Albrecht and myself are both on Patreon. We give a lot of freebies, free ebooks, things like that. You get exclusive material as patrons. And as soon as I sign off here, I jump on my Patreon and I upload the PowerPoints. So if you support me on Patreon, you get the benefit of all the PowerPoints of all the chill streams, which is becoming a massive library of PowerPoint material. And it's all available to you as a thank you for supporting me and my family so that I'm able to do the stuff that I'm doing here. So enough of that. I'm going to open the chat room up for any questions anybody might have, or if anybody wants to come on and discuss things with me. We are nearing the end of the chill stream, so I don't want to miss anybody. I know that the presentation wasn't the best, it's very confusing, but that's what the apostolic canons and constitutions are. They're very confusing. And like I said, I don't use it to support the Deuterocanon, even though Deuterocanonical books are firm there. I think it's got too many negatives, and so I don't give it very much weight. Besides the fact it's a flat-out forgery, which is reason enough not to use it. We don't know what it represents. It doesn't say a canon list. And the manuscript evidence is so weird. We're not even sure what's being affirmed and what wasn't affirmed. But it is important, and it made an impact in the early church. And who knows? Maybe it's responsible for 3rd and 4th Maccabees being in Eastern Bibles. I have no idea. I got to do a lot more research. And it doesn't look like there's any questions. So that leaves one order of business left for us today. And that is, we need a secret word, because you guys have stayed awake through one of my presentations. In fact, a pretty dry presentation at that. So what we do here on the chill streams, if you're new to the chill stream, we give a secret word so you guys can flex to the rest of the world and tell the world you remained awake during one of my presentations, which is an achievement. So what's going to be the secret word that we can flex? James, if you're still with us, usually you're first out of the gate with the secret word. In fact, here, let me bring up the, I'm going to bring up the thumbnail in case this helps thinking of a secret word. If you guys if you can't come up with one, I will give you one. I think everybody's asleep. No one can flex today. That would be interesting. I've never had the entire audience fall asleep on me. What do you guys think? What's a good secret word? How about mall cop? Let's do that. Sam's looking leaner. Good. I'm not. That's why I got to go work out now. Okay, let's do the secret word. Let's do mall cop. How about not? That's excellent. Thank you so much, Richard. And by the way, welcome to the channel. If I haven't welcomed you before, that's better. Instead of mall cop, let's flex. And guys, show everybody that you remained awake in this in this chill stream, and put in the channel chat, not Clement. Thank you so much for that suggestion. That's an awesome secret word. All right, guys, don't forget, unless the power's out, we're going to do a team stream later today, 3 p.m. Eastern time. Don't miss it. It's going to be fun. We're going to tear apart that whole interchange with Matt Slick. Next chill stream, Wednesday, 3:30, same time, same place. And we'll do the rest of the Apostolic Constitution. So give me a little bit of time that I can make the PowerPoint a little better than it is. And thank you so much, guys. You guys rock. Thank you for coming on the stream. And until next time, I am Gary Michuta. I hope all of you have a fantastic Monday. Please pray for us in the United States that are getting hit by these windstorms, that we don't lose power or internet, so we could do these things that we call the Apocrypha Apocalypse. All right. Bye-bye, everyone. Take care.